let's get there. One of the 5 major prophets, we discussed that, contains 66 chapters, means the Lord saves. He's ministering to the northern kingdom, taken captive by Assyria. In the year King Uzziah died, now the idea there is in chapter 6, when that occurs, he no longer, we could go there saying he no longer has this idol. The idol has been removed, which was the king, and now he sees the Lord. Usually what restricts people from seeing the Lord is they have some other idol that's blocking it. Name off some idols. Could be sports, money, the love of money. Name off a car. We can't exclude that. Any other idol? It could be religion.
WCRF used to be my main go-to place.
Yeah, it could be that.
Until I got wise.
And by the way, where does judgment begin? It begins at the house of the Lord. Where's that found? Hebrews? Is that chapter 13? Okay, tradition says he was sawed in two. That's what tradition says by King Manasseh, the most evil king that reigned 55 years. Tradition also said he was the cousin of King Uzziah, so it is a family affair. By the way, David had a family affair. He put all of his kids from all of his marriages and set them up in charge throughout the whole country. That kept unity and loyalty there. So David did the same thing. Let's see. He preaches, the 3 prophets that preached during this time, minor prophets, Amos, Hosea, and Micah. During that time, they overlap. What other book overlaps with people? What other, they overlap within the book? Because you can't line up the dates.
Chronicles and...
No, it's Old Testament, where those that are in charge, their rulership overlaps. Anybody knows? No, it'd be Judges. In the book of Judges, where they ruled Judah or Israel for 40 years. They ruled the people. They overlap. They may have been in different areas. At least that's some of the thought there. He prophesied during 4 main kings: Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. We looked at that. Isaiah, we looked at that, the different names from Old Testament to New Testament. We looked at, we added to it Noah is Noah, Jeremiah is Jeremy, Emmanuel is spelled with an I, in the New Testament is with an E, Emmanuel. And Jesus explains, "Thou shalt not kill," and he quotes the commandment, "Thou shalt do no murder." Well, I had a thought of another one, of what he clears up. Oh, it means one thing, but when you interpret it and put it in the Greek, it means, I can't think of what it is right now. It went in my head and it left. I can't think of it right now. All right, lines up with the 66 books of the Bible, the 66 chapters. Chapters 1 through 39 are very harsh, and chapters 40 through 66, the 27 chapters of grace are not as harsh, lining up with grace in the New Testament. Father, bless now the lesson today, and that you would use it for your glory. In Christ's name, I pray. Amen. And amen. All right, I wrote down here what I considered good verses, or verses that we should know. You know, I looked at the ads, and I was looking at the ads. One time I had a missionary here with a preacher. You know, we were at school. We had a guy here, he was in school. To be in the institute, you had to be able to maintain college level courses. That was one of the requirements. you had to maintain college level courses. And you had to prove that. If you couldn't do it, you couldn't be in the industry. Let me tell you, Bernie's dead, but Bernie was there. Well, what does that tell you? I'm sorry, if that's the rule, you don't keep the rules. I had a pair of people sitting here. They were associated with the dead people across the street. They came up to me and said, they didn't get it. I don't get it. What are you doing? This is after Sunday school. Well, the one guy was in the institute. I'm sorry, he could not read and write. He was unable to read and write. Now, if you can't read and write and you have to be able to maintain college level courses, how can you be then I don't get it. He was unable to read and write. There's another culture that lives out in the world that's not part of our culture. And they cannot read and write. And we'll just refrain from who they are. The guy couldn't read and write, and they're complaining.
Public school kids.
Yeah. No, one of my men had a joke about that. And I said we were camping in a cornfield one time, and he said, he works for the city. He's about ready to retire. He came up to me, he was working over here, and he said, he said, how does that go? He said, the farmer came up and told you to get off the property early in the morning. He pointed a shotgun at you. And he said, at the count of 3, get off. And he goes, 1, 3. And he said, and he imitated me, thinking, this is what I would say, isn't that 1, 2, 3? And he said, no, 1, 3. I've been homeschooled. I thought it was funny. I was a jokester. All day long was jokes like that. It was funny.
It don't sound like a joke to me.
Well, it sounded well, it was funny. Anyway, I was listening to the ad. The ad is basically just chock full of verses. I think it's over the head. This is my opinion. It's over the head of preachers. It's more verses. I don't think it's over the head of the general public. But they hear more verses there than they hear in a church in a month of Sundays. Just what we give in 60 seconds. Anyway, first one here, good verses. Chapter 1, verse 18. Anybody know what that verse is? Before you go there. Okay, that's all right. Isn't that the scarlet and... Yeah, come now, let us reason together, saith the Lord, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow, though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. Excellent verse. And let's just take them in order and read them. And you say, well, there's other good ones. Yeah, there's other good ones. I mean, verse 5 of chapter 1, that's a good one. Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. If that's not America, I don't know what is. The whole head is sick. Chapter 2, verse 4. He shall judge among the nations, shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. By the way, where is that? Where is Isaiah 2:4? Anybody know?
United Nations.
It's at the United Nuts. It's at the United Nations.
Only half of the verse.
And it's only half of the verse. I think you're right. And there's another verse where the order is, I believe it's quoted twice, and I think the order is reversed. I'm pretty sure. I have Joel 3:10 and Micah 4:3. I don't necessarily want to go there. But you're right, only half of the verse is, I believe, is quoted. It's kind of like these verses where Jesus says, but my kingdom is not now. You know, when he says, I can get 17 legions of angels. And he says, my kingdom is not now. Anybody know what's cut out of that verse? And I already said the word. In the new Bibles? The word now. They cut that out.
Yeah,
They cut that out to make it all peace and love.
and they took out yet.
Oh, yeah, they probably took out the word yet. Now,
So,
yet.
yeah, I'm not going up to the priest yet.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah. Yeah, there too,
Is that how
yeah.
you-
Well, you know,
Later.
if you get in that King James issue, they had an ad the other day on TV. I don't know what they were promoting, and then some woman is running the Sunday school. It may have been on Fox to entice you to watch this trash. And then so they asked one of the participants in the audience to read. It's another girl. She's reading. This is from the New King James Version. I mean, just gag me. It's just on and on and on, and it doesn't end. And it all depends on who they give the microphone to. It's always been that way. Isaiah 7 verse 14. This stuff has wormed its way in. Here it is, Emmanuel. Old Testament is with an I, the New Testament is with an E. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. The one about where it's on his shoulders, chapter 9. Chapter 9. These should be very familiar verses, all in your memory, so you know where they are, so you can turn to them. 6 and 7, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Now look, this is the names of Jesus. God. Jesus, no matter what the Jehovah's Witnesses say, he's God. The everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, to establish it with judgment and with justice, and henceforth, even forever, the zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. All right, 11. This should be the sevenfold Spirit. Verses 1 and 2, there shall come forth a rod out. Now I've got stars all the way through verse 5, all in reference to Christ. All right, there shall come forth a rod of the stem of Jesse, a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. All right, it's the sevenfold Spirit is here. The Spirit of the Lord, that's one. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, that makes 3. Spirit of counsel and might, that's 5. Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, making 7. Now the cross reference for that, I believe, is Revelation 1:14. If we turn to Revelation 14, I think this is where it is. I got it marked down in my notes here. No, that's not it. It appears in Revelation, I know that. And I don't see it through here. But it talks about the sevenfold Spirit, I believe, in Revelation. Unless it's in the center column here of 11. Revelation 5:5. Let's see if that says anything. No, there's 7 seals. I didn't have it. 4:4?
Revelation 1:4.
1:4? Oh, you know what? The colon I read as a 1. making it 14. It's 1:4. I have written down. I did write it down right. I misread it. 1:4. 7 churches, the 7 spirits which are before his throne. All right, there it is. 1:4. So that is the cross reference. All right, 28. Oh, here we on the second coming of the Lord, 6:8, chapter 11, verses 6 and 8. The wolf. We always say it's the lion and the lamb. That does not appear. The lion and the lamb does not appear. This is what we quote in the second coming in the track. We quote it on the television. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. That's the part that we quote there. We don't have to necessarily quote all of that. And go to 28, Isaiah 28, 9 and 10. This is where you don't want to teach the whole Bible in one sitting, and it takes a lifetime to learn it. You're not going to, I meet people all the time, and if we're talking about the Bible, they say, well, I've read the Bible. I've read it. If you read it, it's like a movie. Every time you watch the movie, you learn something a little different about it. You see something different. Well, certainly that's true about the Bible. Every time you read it, you learn something new. You don't get it all at one sitting. Verses 9 and 10, to whom shall he teach knowledge? To whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Where do you find that? About they still need milk and not strong, and they can't handle strong meat.
First Peter?
No. Close. It's Hebrews. Hebrews, I believe it's chapter. In fact, why don't we go there? Wait a minute. Let's see if it's in the center column. 28, 10. It doesn't actually give a verse. Hebrews. Well, let's go to Hebrews. I'm pretty sure it's Hebrews. Chapter 5, I believe. Hebrews 5, verse 12 and 13 and 14. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. The strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Is where that is found. All right, so back here to Isaiah 28, verse 10, is precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. It's kind of like a prerequisite. What is a prerequisite to machine design 2 was machine design 1. I'm talking engineering now. Prerequisite to machine design 1 and 2 was machine analysis 2. And there was machine analysis 1. So we had 4 courses. Machine analysis 1, 2, and then machine design 1 and 2. So heat transfer 2, obviously the prerequisite is heat transfer 1. What would be in general terms, what is the prerequisite for calculus?
Trig.
No, that's another topic.
You said calculus, didn't you?
Calculus.
Algebra 2.
Algebra. You got algebra 1 and 2. You can mix trig in there. People make trig out to be something out there. Trigonometry. Trigonometry is just as simple as it gets. It's just not hard. So you got trig in there, you got geometry in there, but prerequisite to calculus is algebra. What would be the prerequisite to algebra?
General math?
It would be general math. And then if you have general math, and general math in public school, did anybody know when that ended? What was the last math class that was required to be taken? Anybody know? It was 8th grade. That was where it ended. Because then you weren't required to take algebra 1 and 2, like 9th grade, 10th grade, and so on. You didn't have to take it.
We already
They had
had
geometry, trig, and then calc. So it ended. General math ends in 8th grade. Today, I don't know what an 8th grader can do. And so general math, and what's the very first thing you learn? You learn addition, subtract. You homeschoolers, addition, well, you have to learn how to count. Can you count to 10? Can you count to 100? So you learn how to count, you learn how to add, you learn how to subtract, you learn how to multiply, you learn how to divide, you learn your multiplication tables. Those are all prerequisites.
You start at 0.
You start at 0, right?
Thank
You
you.
build on it. And it grows and grows and grows. And the same thing is true with the Bible. It
Then you
grows
were
on it.
Sligo.
When I went to take piano lessons, I was 19 years old. I took lessons. I went and I said, well, I can play, but he said, well, let's hear what you can do. In 5 minutes, he was laughing. My teacher was laughing, and I realized I didn't know anything. And he taught me the piano in 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. 5 minutes, I understood the piano completely for what I needed. And he said, and how am I going to get there? And I told him everything I'm doing. He said, I'll get you there. And he just loaded me up, man. And I had a good time. And he just, a little bit every week, within a month, I was playing. In 3 months, it was shake, rattle, and roll. But you build on it. You build on it. All right, 42, 1 and 3. Isaiah 42, 1 and 3, and obviously we're going to be skipping around here. Oh, this is Old Testament, it's quoted in the New Testament. Let's just go to verse 3. Bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall not be quenched. He shall bring forth judgment unto truth. All right. In other words, in grace, he's not going to beat everybody up. He's not there to. He came at. What's the next verse after John 3:16?
3:17.
Yeah. What is? Yeah. What does he say? What does he say? I think he says the world's already condemned. I've come not to condemn the world, because the world is already condemned. So he didn't come to beat, the only one he's beating up on are the Pharisees. He didn't come to beat us up. He came to bring us grace. So
And this is
now that's how I would interpret that verse.
And this is the condemnation. Light is coming into the world, but men would rather have darkness than light, unless
Is that verse 17?
their sins be exalted.
Is that verse 17?
No.
No.
For
What's verse
For
17?
God sent not his Son to the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Right. In other words, that's the verse I wanted. That's what I said. Yeah.
18.
He didn't come to beat us up. So I would interpret that a bruised reed shall he not break. In other words, you're already pounded down. So he's not going to pound you down more. You're already beat up. At least that's how I interpret the verse. He's coming to bring us grace. He's not condemning us because the world is already condemned.
Is it okay to smoke flax?
Well, I don't know. All right, chapter 30, verse 17. Chris had started this group here of young people, and it is the only place, he called it the Beacons. It is the only place it's found in the Bible. Chapter 30, verse 17. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, at the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee, till ye be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, as an ensign on a hill. A beacon. All right? As a one shining light. Only place that's found in the Bible, the word beacon. What would be a beacon today?
Akron Beacon Journal. Out there on the navigation.
Yeah, give me that. Come on, what is that? A lighthouse. right?
Yeah.
You are the light of the world. Right? A lighthouse.
But they got ones designated to mount to the port so you don't run into the break wall.
Just be glad I'm not steering the ship. We would be in trouble. Or even docking it. Just to dock the ship. You gotta know what you're doing. Even a small boat, you gotta know what you're doing. All right, let's go to 6. This is where the missionaries go. Good verses, good places to go. Where it ends, verse 8, also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and whom shall go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. This is where he sees the seraphim. And then what are the others? If it's not seraphim, what are the other group of angels, seraphims and cherubims? What are the ones that show up called in the throne room in Revelation 5? What are they called? There's seraphim, there's cherubim, and what are those people called?
The rest of them.
I think they're no, I think they're called beasts. There were 4 beasts, and they have different heads, right? The head of a lion, the head of an eagle, the head of a man, and the head of an ox. All right, and what is the one that the cherub that is listed? And what is his head? And that's the 5th cherub, which is the devil. What head does he have of those 4? An ox, and he has hoofs like a calf. So he's got the head of an ox and hoofs like a calf.
What does that all symbolize? What does that mean?
Well, the head of a man would be Luke.
No.
Well, that's
Why
just
does it
what,
have an ox and why does it have?
I don't know.
Those are the calf.
Those are good questions, but that's what their heads are.
He actually
And,
said,
and then there is one, I think it's in Ezekiel, where they have all 4 faces.
Right.
One head, and there's 4 faces on that head. And it's those 4 faces on that head. It's in Ezekiel. Yeah, that's where that shows up. And we line them up with the 4 Gospels. All right? Oh, the head of the eagle, that lines up with John. The head of man, that lines up with Luke. The head of
Well,
the lion lines up with Matthew, and the head of the ox lines up with Mark. All right? And we've been taught that before, what those things mean. All right, in chapter 6, they had 6 wings. They cover his face, his feet, and 2 are for flying. And we liken them very similar to those that are the beasts because they cry unto another and said, holy, 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 just like they do in heaven with the beast. All right? And so on. It talks about the tongues and the life in his hand, puts it on his tongue, and so on, the cleansing of a saint. Let's pick this up here next week. We're well over time. We'll pick it up in chapters 26 and go from there. And so on. All right, Father, bless now the preaching in Christ's name.